Namaskar, hello and welcome to NCRT's special live interactive session, Paricharcha. Our today's topic is bringing smiles back to school. Like you all know that many states of India, they have opened the doors of their schools for children, especially for classes 9th to 12th, and some states have opened the schools for classes 6th to 8th as well. You're watching us live on PM eVidya channel number 6 and channel number 11. Under the Manodarpan initiative by the Ministry of Education, there's a helpline number through which you can contact us, raise your questions, queries, and ask your problems. So the number is 844-844-0632. Well, if you need any more information regarding the Manodarpan initiative, you can also visit the website www.manodarpan.mhrd.gov.in. You're watching us live on various platforms at the moment. We are live on our Facebook page, which is a National Council of Educational Research and Training NCERT, and also on our YouTube channel ncertofficial. Official. So raise your questions, queries, and send it to us. We have a panel, and the panel experts are here to answer your queries. Let me just introduce all of them to you. Our first expert is Professor I.P. Gaurama. Welcome, ma'am.
Namaste.
Ma'am is the head of Department of Education from Regional Institute of Education, Bhubaneswar, NCERT. We have Dr. Garima Gupta. Welcome, ma'am. Ma'am is an assistant professor from Department of Psychology, Arya Mahila PG College, BHU, Varanasi. We have Dr. Dhanne Krishnan. Welcome, ma'am.
Namaste.
Namaskar. Ma'am is an assistant professor from Department of Extension Education, Regional Institute of Education, Bhubaneswar, NCERT. We have Mr. Lakshmikant Devta. Welcome, sir. Sir is the principal of DAV Public School, NTPC, Deepshikha, Kaniha, Angul, Odisha. We have Dr. Sarvat Jabin. Welcome, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Ma'am is an assistant professor from Department of Psychology, Nirmala College, Ranchi University, Ranchi. And we have Shri A. Mishra. Welcome, sir.
Namaskar.
Namaskar, sir. Sir is the headmaster of DM School, Regional Institute of Education, Bhubaneswar, NCERT. So this is the panel, and we are here for next 1.5 hours. So you have enough time to ask your questions and queries. We'll be waiting. So let's begin this discussion, and I have my first question from Gaurama ma'am. Ma'am, like I said, the schools have opened already, and there are so many concerns by parents and even by teachers. So what are those concerns related to the safety and health of children?
Thank you, Tanvi. Welcome all the viewers. Good afternoon, my panelists. The prolonged closure of school has in fact jeopardized the future of millions of children across the globe.
Yes.
And in this, the share of India is massive, amounting to nearly 500 million children. And we all know school is a place that provides plethora of opportunity for the children, youth of the country to develop and grow into a holistic human being for productive participation in the country's or nation's progress. So school, it is a safe, secure, stimulating, enriching, nurturing ecosystem which gives us chance to develop physically, socially, emotionally, psychologically, along with the academic growth which we usually talk much about when we talk of school. And reopening of school has so many positive effects, and that is what makes us all smile. The smile of children. Yes, we all have talked to children around us, and we have found that they are looking forward to the school to reopen, and this news is really going to give them smile. And the smile of children is really going to bring smile to the school, and thus all smiling schools will give smile to our nation. And move ahead in the progressive path. So many international organizations like UNESCO, UNICEF, World Bank have come together, they have initiated and they have launched Mission Recovery Education 2021, which focus on three priority areas when the school is reopening. Number one is bringing back all children and youth into school and identifying their physical, psychosocial, and academic needs at this juncture after the closure of school. What is that gap? What are those areas which require attention at when the school is reopening? The second priority they identify is quickly identify measures or develop strategies to remediate to bridge the learning gap. And the third is definitely teachers are the people critical at this juncture in every school, because the third priority they identify is providing support to teachers, identifying their problems, what are their needs for empowerment, and also incorporating their needs to incorporate digital learning in their teaching process. So when these are the priorities, definitely let me concentrate initially on the health and safety concerns. The main health and safety concern is eliminating the risk and minimizing the spread. That is what is the reason why there is so much of discussion, debate, and documents are coming to say about the reopening of schools. So much of discussion is going on. So when schools are reopening, the major concerns are, we all know the safety protocols, the COVID protocols are in place. But still, when schools reopen, we have a responsibility to look at their concerns so that we can devise certain ways, certain measures, and certain strategies. What are those main concerns we have? Yes, number one is we all know the spread of of this virus, and we know how it spreads. So number one is the maintaining social distance, keeping children physically apart, right inside the classroom and outside the classroom when they are coming by bus, wherever, in the playground or during the break time, during their lunch time. How do we, this is a huge concern for schools, like how do we maintain distance between students so that we can curb the spread of this virus? The next one is the healthy habit. See, healthy habit has come with COVID also, but otherwise also it is one of the requirements for human beings that we follow certain healthy habits, like washing hands, not touching the face with our hands open. These are the healthy habits which we have to live with. So some examples of certain countries who fought other virus before COVID, like the Ebola or other virus, especially in African countries, we come to know that the COVID spread was much limited because the citizens, the school children are with the healthy habits which they developed because of those reasons, and they're continuing. So healthy habits are, this is the concern, like how we continue to maintain these healthy habits with our children. And another one is the personal hygiene at our own level as a responsibility. How do we keep uh, clean, like washing hands or even wearing mask, cleanliness of the mask, how do we wash, how do we dry it, and how do we preserve it, the mask? These are all very personal, and at a personal level, the onus, the responsibility has to be in the children. This is also a concern. How do we develop these personal hygiene, keeping a handkerchief instead of wiping our face, eyes, touching eyes with a hand? It would be very healthy if we use a handkerchief. These habits can be developed in school, and this is a concern. How do we do it? And of course, we know maintain the to fight against corona, we have to maintain our physical health very well, and our immune system will be strong if we know how to eat well, healthy food, timely food, the discipline with food. So this providing nutritious food to our children, preparing them to be strong, making them strong so that they can survive in the spread of this kind of pandemic. These are the concerns. And there are many more concerns like the physical health and safety concerns. We also know that the socio-emotional concerns are also there, and my next panelist, Dr. Garima, may throw more light on this.
Garima ma'am?
Yes.
Yes. Would you like to add further to what Garima ma'am said?
Yes, sure, of course. I would add. I want to add my own insight. Well, we all know that it's a school time again, and students are going back to school for direct teaching and learning. Coming back to school may bring smile back on few faces, and children may be encouraged to go back to school and learn and educate and improve. However, it may cause some behavioral and psychological issues to other children. For example, many children may feel nervous or reluctant to go back to school, especially if they have been learning at home for several months or a year. Especially, they will be feeling avoidance or withdrawal from school routine because of the seized autonomy. Since see, at virtual platform, they have been learning and doing whatever they wanted, keeping their mic mute and videos off. However, there could be several reasons behind it. We are not going to explore it now. Further, these children may have adjustment and health-related issues, such as now they are supposed to sit with all displayed in one posture for a fixed period of time. So maybe feeling fatigue, agitated, may report lower motivation or decreased attention. Further, these children may have some interest loss in getting along with other children and coming back to school timely or in routine. Along with that, I would like to add that even few children, because of the pandemic or the lockdown, or many habits have got affected. So one such habit is a sleep habit. So sleep habit have changed. Children's sleep pattern have changed, and because of this disturbed sleep pattern, children may show their unwillingness or unpreparedness to to be in school routine time. Apart from this, the pandemic, many children have struggled a lot learning and continuing their education. So there would be a possibility when these students will return to school setup, they might be facing fearful, and especially in comparison to other children. One thing I would like to add that see, reintegrating children into school system seems little critical. However, I believe that adjustment and learning has its own pace. We have to keep them reminding that it's normal to feel overwhelmed and encourage them to talk and come forward and ensure availability in listening to them. Apart from this, there will be certain learning related issues which will be discussed by our next panelist. Thank you.
Okay. So let's go to Dr. Krishnan now. Ma'am, would you like to add something to what Garima ma'am said? Dr. Krishnan, let me ask you another question. How did the pandemic transform the learning spectrum of children?
Voice is not.
Dr. Krishnan, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Let me repeat the question. How did the pandemic transform the learning spectrum of children?
As we all are aware, the pandemic has caused abrupt and profound changes around the world. And this is the worst change to education system or a shock to educational system in decades, with the longest school closure. Even as per UN report, more than 1.6 billion learners have been impacted in more than 190 countries, cutting across all the continents. And this crisis has worsened the pre-existing educational disparities with the reduction of the learning opportunities as well, especially in case of vulnerable group, marginalized group, like girls, stray children, the children. For more than 1.5 years, that has actually led to two serious concerns. One is loss of learning, the second is inequality in learning. When you can see the World Bank report recently which had come out, which says the learning loss which could be projected to around base of learning And the learning spectrum has quickly shifted from the face-to-face to the different alternative modes of learning as well. But however, the shift was not so easy as it started from the very young age. The, especially in a country like India with lots of diversity, with respect to the changes in the geographical barriers, the differences in the access to the digital devices, the shift was not quite easy. And we can see that the system has risen to the particular place wherein we could really pull out many resources in terms of educational TVs, the content delivery through education TVs and satellites specifically designed for education, and then recorded lessons. And here we cannot deny the contribution of the teachers who had worked hard with a passion to create very innovative learning experiences to children to reach out to them. Here we can see the teachers' extreme steps to be appreciated. However, the one thing which was missing is the social aspect of learning. We all agree the learning in the school, that is the most pleasant experience to all of us, because the learning happens in the social context and for a social cause. That was missing. That is why, as Professor Gairama was mentioning about the children's happiness to come children regarding the getting back to school. Not many, but all the children had expressed their happiness and excitement to come back to school. Here, we can see that we are waiting for a diverse classroom with lots of differences in the learning at individual level as well. Even certain researches which happen in global level as well as in different states of India, we can see that it is pointing to learning regression or learning delay, especially in mathematics and in literacy. For example, the reading comprehension, the writing skill, the mathematical function, using the mathematical function. It is very alarming and shocking to see that the children have unlearned the concepts and the skill which they had learned pre-COVID time. So it's a very serious concern. However, I'm sure that with very flexible plan and with the support of all the stakeholders, we will be able to bring back the smile to the school. Thank you.
Sir, Mr. Devta, sir, you being the principal of a school, can you tell us that what is the role of the headmaster in assisting students like immediately after joining back school?
Yes, good afternoon to all my co-panelists. Bringing back smiles back to school. Yes, everybody agrees that the smile was not there when children were not there. The school becomes alive in the presence of the children. But as everybody has already pointed out, what are the issues associated with the reopening of school? Naturally, principal, who is the pedagogical leader, has a very significant role to play. More or less, everybody knows that school is considered as second. The buzzword was during COVID, stay at home, stay safe. Probably any place other than home is a strict no-no. And in such a context, bringing back children to school, they are synonymous to smiles. Bringing smiles back to school is indeed a very Herculean task, but it's not impossible to get back to normalcy. To be very precise, we need to pep up. Yes, you heard it right. We need to pep up. PEP. All school heads are expected to have these three things: digital readiness, emotional readiness, and pedagogical readiness. PEP, PEP. In terms of physical readiness, in order to assist our children to come physically, we need to have a very neat and clean plan of school reopening. Local authorities, government, management, everybody, they have given clear-cut SOP. but how to implement it, that is the Herculean task at school level. How the school atmosphere will be neat and clean, washed, WASH, water, sanitation, and hygiene. If these three things are maintained before children come to school, and if they are conveyed properly, that these arrangements have been made very nicely in school, first and foremost thing which can be ensured is that a kind of confidence in terms of health and hygiene that needs to be developed in the minds of the parents, in the minds of the children. So physical readiness, when you talk, naturally we would whole lot of things. Simply opening the school doesn't mean simply opening the gate of the school. Since long schools were closed, so naturally all school heads are expected to ensure cleanliness of the school campus, cleanliness of toilet, supply of water, and above all, some of the added responsibilities like ensuring thermal scanning at the entry point. Maintaining a record of all the temperature of children would definitely ensure a kind of confidence that anybody who has some illness, who is somehow not supposed to come to school because of the illness and can be a part of contamination, they can be segregated itself. Followed by hand washing program. In every school, soon after the recess, ideally, children were expected to go to a wash machine panel. If possible, those wash machine panels are expected to be renovated. If it is possible, they can be made touchless, or sanitation of hands through alcohol-based sanitizer needs to be ensured at school level. Apart from that, at the entry point, in order to minimize the crowd, staggered timetable so that a group of children, when they are coming, entire school, instead of calling them together, it has been rightly segregated as such. As of now, 9, 10, 12, they are coming. So in a phased manner in different states, the reopening is going on. Literally, the timing needs to be staggered, needs to be a different interval, time interval, so that when they come, physical distance is maintained. Starting from the entrance to the classroom, how they are going, the veranda, corridor that they are using at different places, physical markers, signals are to be there so that automatically a different kind of behavior when they come to school. Coming to the classroom, when I'm talking about physical readiness, all the heads are expected to ensure that the classroom is neat and clean, and 50% of the children, or maybe in the even and odd formula, or maybe the normal classroom, it can be shifted to another big hall, depending on the availability of the infrastructure, so that in one bench, one child is sitting and proper distance is maintained. If all these things are provided, and if these are intimated well in advance in the parents teachers meeting, maybe through virtual mode, in advance, before the school reopens, then children will definitely get the confidence, they will develop the trust, which is partly damaged, that if I go to school, 2 days back, everybody was telling that stay safe, stay home. But now I am asked to go to school. So if our endeavor is to assist our children, first of all, we need to ensure these things. And then emotional readiness. They need to be handled very compassionately, because there may be many broken homes, there may be different type of disturbed atmosphere in the home, because parents were working at home as well as working from home. So the child had a different kind of setup mind. So naturally when they come, a kind of compassion, but we need to be very careful. You can't come close to the child and hug the child affectionately, that is barred. Still we need to maintain the kind of compassion so that the child will feel at home. That is the responsibility of the school head by conducting different webinars. All teachers need to be empowered how they can behave like school counselors each and every teacher needs to have the compassion of a counselor, a trained counselor, so that the emotional strength that the child might have missed when the school reopens, when they come, that can be ensured, and pedagogical readiness. A lot of learning loss must have taken place because of the online classes. We all know there are different factors responsible. In spite of our efforts, in spite of our endeavors to offer uninterrupted academic transactions, naturally, sitting front to front, conducting physical classes is definitely much better than the online one. So how the child will minimize the gap, that is to be ensured. And that I mean by pedagogical readiness. In this way, all school heads are expected to step up to assist children once school reopens.
Okay. All right. So I think many parents and many teachers too agree with you that online classes were not too appropriate for all the sections of society. So physical classes are better. Moving on to Dr. Jabin. Ma'am, during this sudden phase of transition, could you please explain that how counseling would be beneficial for the students? Dr. Jabin, can you hear me?
Yes. Thank you, Tanvi.
Okay.
I would like to share how the counseling is, pardon. Like to say, yes, would you like to?
Dr. Jabin, ma'am.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Am I audible to you?
Yes. Am I audible to all?
Yes, ma'am. There was some connection issue.
Tanvi?
Yes, I'll repeat the question once again. So, in this sudden phase of transition, how do you think counseling is going to be beneficial for students? Okay, I think there's some technical issue.
Upon the topic which
Ma'am, we cannot hear you clearly. Okay, so there's some technical issue.
there is some technical problem.
Yes. So, ma'am, we'll come back to you again.
On my side, it's okay.
Okay. Ma'am, try answering the question, please.
Yes. Yes. Now, we are talking about the bringing smiles back to school.
Yes.
Okay. Globally, reopening of schools has elicited mixed reactions because half the population is ready to come back to school and half the population is not ready because they have found a good cozy place for their study or for their education. Counselors and teachers have an important role to play in helping children both prepare for and recover after a public health emergency. As teachers are said to be the best friends for students. So most of the students are willing to come back to school, but still half of the population is not ready because they have made a comfortable room for themselves and they are not ready to come, especially due to this health issues. The social ramification perpetuate. Counselors have promoted optimal care for the client, providing resources helpful for staying informed about the impact of post-COVID measures. The negative impact on affected individuals ranges from financial and emotional to physical, because the financial hit on these establishments has been catastrophic for owners and their families. Counts perseverance, resilience, and well-being throughout the tensions that plagued our society. Stress-based responses, which was worsened among those who lack resources such as social support may revive in this transition period. Social distancing, taken as a preventive measure, comprises individuals' daily functioning. Many individuals are having feelings associated with grief, although this pandemic is hypothesized to be temporary. The impact on lives has become much longer term. There is a need of anxiety management to overcome further fear. It is challenging to navigate the students' response to this outbreak. Feelings of fear, anxiety, and uncertainty may come up and are normal. Now, the counselors have the role to become a model calmness. Carve out time for own self-care in order to model stress management for the student. Maintain a sense of normalcy and routine as much as possible. Listen actively to students' fears and worries about coronavirus. Keep on asking questions in a way that's non-judgmental and empathetic. Normal and to feel overwhelmed, frustrated, confused, rather than comfortable in feelings. But it's important to experience and talk about worries and anxieties. This will help them to come back to normal. Know the facts and encourage students to seek out information in activity like deep breathing, mindfulness, meditation, reading, or going for a walk. Limit exposure to constant news updates and seek accurate information. Maintain social connection and talk to other adults about their own reactions to the virus outbreak. Focus on what is in control, such as getting enough sleep, eating healthy foods, practicing good hygiene. Facts rather than fears. Consider the most likely outcome rather than the worst possible outcome. Children are likely to be experiencing a range of emotions. The return to school will be welcome and exciting for many students, but others may be feeling anxious or frightened. Children may feel nervous or reluctant to return to school, especially if they have been learning at home for months. So, counselors should talk to them calmly about some of the changes they may expect at school, such as needing to wear masks and keep a distance from their friends and teachers. Reassure them that these safety measures are in place to keep students and teachers healthy. Counselors can also highlight the important role they can play in keeping themselves healthy, such as washing their hands with soap and water. As due to this outbreak, children have developed many types of sadness, worries, anger, agitation, fatigue, confusion, lack of interest in playing with other children or completing their homework, not sleeping or eating well, loss of interest in their hobbies or friends. Before students go back, they should be reminded that it's normal to feel overwhelmed at times. Encourage them to talk about how they are feeling and let them know you are always there to listen. There have also been concerned that bullying may increase when children at school due to some of the misinformation around COVID-19. This virus has nothing to do with, this should be explained that this virus has nothing to do with what someone looks like, where they are from and what language they speak. We have to remind that everyone deserves to be safe at school. Bullying is always wrong, and we should each do our part to spread kindness and support each other. Yes, over to Tanvi. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Going further to Mr. Mishra, sir, क्या आप हमें बता सकते हैं कि जो शिक्षक हैं उन्हें भी कुछ चिंता होगी क्योंकि वापस स्कूल खुल रहे हैं, क्या आप उनके बारे में हमारे दर्शकों को कुछ बताना चाहेंगे?
Yes, Tanvi. Teachers are at such a place where they are only expected a few things. We also need to address the concerns they have. They have multiple concerns. Concern one, about safety and well-being of the children who are visiting school, because we have already started for class 9 to 12. Of course, it's not a full school because around 50% parents are only sending them. And with this 50%, with utmost efforts from the management, utmost efforts from the teachers, we should be frank in admitting that we are not able to literally follow the SOP despite the fact that everybody is striving very hard. So that is going to be further a general picture. Yes, bringing back the smile to the school. In fact, when the children come, it's not only a smile, bringing back the life to the school, I must say. But still, we cannot keep holding, just being afraid that again there will be widespread of the corona. We have to make beginning, we have made beginning. So one concern for the teachers is about the well-being of the children, because the children are emotionally attached with the teachers, their safety, and with the fact that 18 and below, we do not know when, how fast, and in what timeline our students are attending online classes. They had been attending online classes since end of March 2020. It has been a quite long time for them to be attending face to face for several reasons. Access, data affordability, and then the device. Those who are attending, whether they are attending or not, is very difficult to ascertain for all the students at all the times. So they had been having, as ma'am said, ma'am Zabeen said, they had been having their cozy time. Yes, they continue to be in the inertia of having cozy time. Now the Herculean task for the teachers is how to ensure children restore their span of attention that they had pre-COVID. Secondly, how to ensure that they are in position physically and mentally to attend the full 6 hours of the school. That's a big job. And not only teachers, though this is the direct concern of teachers, but the entire society needs to think what can be the ways out of opening up the school, whether it can be at one shot or it can be in some graded manner. Then thirdly, the teachers had been, by and large, if we 9 to 12, they had been taking online classes. Now once the children come, it's for sure that the picture is going to be almost similar when we open for class 6 to 8 or if the situation becomes further normal, we can go for primary class. But one thing is for sure, despite all the efforts which are made, because I have experimented in my school, we have not only had parents-teacher meeting, we have had meeting with the parents and the children, both the parents and the children with the teachers. We have even spelled out, we have sent in writing what are the steps that we are going to take to ensure that the entire building is sanitized several times in a day. All the efforts are made to have hand wash facility in readiness, their social distancing and everything. Despite that, the outcome is that around 50% parents they give willingness, and of those 50%, around 75 to 80% do they really send the children to the school. Now, the teachers have to further go for the simultaneous two modes, online mode and offline mode of transaction. We have to remember that these are the same teachers. Majority of the teachers hardly had any idea of ABCD of digital teaching. They quickly learned, adopted the system, but still we have to remember that they are not experts. Once they start teaching the children, 15, 20 students being in front, 15, 20 attending virtually, is quite likely, and it's happening also, the children who are not available face to face, they get ignored. These are some major challenges. And the biggest challenge that the teacher faces, because despite all the fundamentals, all the types of education that we give, basically education somehow is perceived to be academics, which is very unfortunate, but it is. So when the children are coming, already the classes are diverse classes in terms of their abilities, in terms of their, I'm talking of academic abilities. And now they have come with further diversity being, further the gap being widened because of being digitally rich enough or adequately rich enough to have digital devices. So we find that the gaps are further widened. Now for the teachers to handle the class effectively, it's a big, big challenge. That does not mean school should not open, school must open. We will try, we will keep striving, and with the confidence of opening the school, I am optimistic that remaining 50% parents who are not willing to send the children, they will gradually fall in place if we don't have this school reopening having a boomerang in terms of surge of the COVID cases. Yes, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for giving us the input on teachers' behalf. Moving on to Professor Gaurama, ma'am. Everyone is willing, to go back to school, but then safe environment, that's one of the priorities too. So what are the measures being taken to provide a safe environment for students?
The first round of discussion from our experts, especially the two school heads and the counselor, has given some of the measures also. Still, I'm touching upon it and then discussing certain other measures which we can. The situation is really complex, but the way the panelists are talking, and it is truth in our society also, that when complex situations come, there are people, we are human beings, are so creative that we come out with certain measures which may sound very simple, but they go a long way in restoring the desired situation what we are thinking of for our schools. It is, if we have to look at certain measures to maintain physical health and safety for children, of course, our head teachers and counselor has mentioned about the sanitization. It is non-negotiable. have already started doing it because the schools have already reopened. They, with the discussion with parents, taking their opinions, they have already started, and that is definitely every school has to take that as priority. Of course, the thermal scanning, and even thermal scanning, it shouldn't be a mechanical thermal scanning. I have seen sometimes some people in certain malls or somewhere, when people are entering, they just scan, but the data is not taken. So the school has a major responsibility to ensure that it is not the typical screening which goes on in other places like a shop or a travel place, but schools will have to really take the data, the thermal screening, and all those precautionary measures which are taken, because this is going to affect the health and safety of others in the school. So this is one. And of course, the disciplined routine is very essential to give back that health and safety to the children. We know the discipline was highly disturbed. It was disrupted because of this online class. It is whether you sit or sleep, or you are with the device or not, you are counted for the class. So, but in the class, you have to actively participate. You have no option. You have to engage in the learning activities. So this routine, all these things have to come immediately, the disciplined routine. Because if we may think, oh, all these days children were not ready to sit and listen, so let us allow some more days. No, we cannot afford to lose any more time now. As if we go back to the recovery mission of the international documents, say the second priority they say is immediate measures to be taken. When children come back, the immediate measures has to be taken for the giving them safe environment to learn. And I'm using little harsh word here. We have to de-addict children. Probably I can use a simple word like habit, some habits which they have got. But I'm specifically using this word addiction because it is very urgent. It calls for immediate concern. For example, stay home, stay safe was our catchphrase. Yeah. And we have got so used to, children may be so used to staying home is the safety. So now imagine we have to come out of that. Coming to school is the immediate requirement for their personal growth, for their own aspirations, for their own future, and also for the country. So this change from what they were, it is like de-addiction. For example, eating habits. Many children were eating, continuous eating became a habit. So immediately cut on all those things, like right from before the breakfast, and then with limited breaks. I don't know whether it becomes very difficult in the schools to practice, but we have to bring these measures to control the damage which has already been caused, keeping children away from school. Of course, planning for the pedagogy has to be carefully done, because we say that physical and social proximity has to be avoided, but still we may have to engage some children in small group activities. So very careful planning can give us the benefit of group activity, the cooperative, collaborative learning, in addition to maintaining the safety measures of wearing masks and comfortable distance, that it is not too close, but it is not too far to learn together. Of course, yoga and meditation, this is to develop our immunity, to develop our concentration, and everything. This can be a part of school routine also, initially, so that they come back into those habits and maintaining a calm composure. And Jabin was also telling about the anxieties and the fears which are there. School has a role to control these things. For example, Corona, the name itself has been considered, and it is looked at as something which is very scary and fearful. Yes, the fear is very much justified. There should be fear. Otherwise, we may be very casual in withdraw. Sometimes some children may, or even adults, have the habit of, they have become so much obsessed with, uh, they keep on washing their hands, or they keep on sanitizing their hands, or wearing like mask. I know it is very uncomfortable for some time. They keep removing, and yeah, it's several of these things has to be uh, habit which has to come. And the fear, we have to see that our children are afraid of the situation, but the fear should not engulf them, the fear should not consume them. The fear has to be very healthy. And where do we put that line? This is education really. The critical pedagogy we have to use in the day-to-day classroom activities as much as possible. They should become thinkers. They should critically analyze why I have to do this, own the responsibility. They know why they are doing it and the impact of not doing it, that it becomes their lifelong learning and responsible participation in the society. So there can be many more measures in the second round of discussion. I am sure our panelists are going to give some more.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. So I have many more questions for all the panelists. Let's go to Dr. Gupta now. Garima ma'am, now that students are going back to school, that means that they are going to spend a lot of time with teachers. So how do you think the teachers are going to help or support in meeting out the needs of the students?
Thank you very much for the question. Well, to begin with, a lot of teachers and school managers have tried to give best educational support and learning support to students at digital platform. However, we cannot reject the idea of learning losses impacting their overall academic performance. Now, here the role of teacher seems imperative, and the teacher must identify various needs of students like academic, social, emotional needs, and mitigate arising issues strategically. So first of all, how teacher can be a support. So it's very important to know and to identify those challenges. Like I discussed in my previous discussion, the very first challenge that comes for teacher is to make students sit for fixed period of time with all discipline and attending classes with single posture. So which seems little critical nowadays, because it's been the habit of sitting silently in the class with discipline was dormant somehow. So that is a big challenge. That now what can teacher do? So the teacher may be and help support, and they can be using various games or activities which can inculcate and bring their attention in the classroom. They may use just set games for smaller children, or maybe statue games for those children, especially for small children like up to 5th or maybe 6th, 7th, it can be done because a lot of researchers have said that these games impairs the these games encourages the mind body connections and improves focus. So next is like home learning have breeded inattentiveness. So students have been learning through digital mode, where presented virtually but absent mentally. Therefore, grabbing attention and pulling students close attention in the class in the direct teaching learning seems pretty critical. However, by adopting certain activities such as engaging them into solving questions, reading whatever has giving them reading assignments in the class, whatever has been shared during the entire class should be paraphrased by giving them crosswords or solving them puzzles can help them improve their attention for pictures, numbers, and words. Next, children are coming back to school, so they have certain other needs, that is social needs, to get socialize and familiarize again with their mates and batchmates. So they want to talk to their friends, sit together, whisper, which will be not possible now. So therefore, the teacher may psychoeducate those students and by emphasizing the importance of social distancing. Additionally, teacher may organize fun plays or music making games or rhythm making games to make learning fun. Researchers have even suggested that joint singing and music making are effective social skill activities that that promote cooperativeness and supportive behavior in the individual. Thus, teachers must have to plan interesting activities before building the curricula. Well, social connectedness was missing from past 1 to 1.5 like years. So the teacher may encourage student to share their pandemic experiences and appreciate them, those students as corona barrier, and that's how they connect feelings and making them more human. Teacher may also help student in preparing their emotional vocabulary in the classroom. For example, if they may encourage students to do some work, and if somehow if they fail, they can revive their or improve their vocabulary by saying that mistakes are part of learning. Apart from that, there are some emotional need of the student as well. Teacher may also identify the emotional need of the child. The emotional need will be largely related to listening to them, their concerns, their worries, and being available to them. See, every Tom, Dick, and Harry wants to be listened to. So here, the role of the teacher is more of a listener than a speaker. So the teacher must, assure their availability to them, accept them conditional way, show them unconditional positive regard, and assure our availability in listening to them without judging them for their weaknesses or losses. So that's how this behavior will really improve their self-esteem and empower them with self-confidence as well, and improve their coping abilities. Apart from that, because of the pandemic and the home education or home learning, a lot of behavioral skills were also missed. So teacher, coming back to school will help, and teacher will also help the students inculcating. We have certain behavioral skills like time management, cooperative coordination, team building, self-efficacy skills through planning wisely some activities and inculcating those behavior in them. Well, these are the psychosocial support which I see the teacher can provide to students for better teaching and learning process. However, there could be certain other ways to cover these learning gaps, which I think our next panelist will discuss.
Okay, okay. So the next panelist would be Dr. Krishnan. Ma'am, although the online classes were going on, but still there has been some gap in the learning. So what measures are going to be taken to bridge this learning gap?
Yes, Tanvi, the situation is not that simple, and it's complex, and issues are of multi-dimension, and so the solutions are. And so the need of the hour is to bring back the resilience of the system in general. And specifically, if you say, to ensure a very smooth educational path for each and every child. So here, probably the first and foremost thing, as Dr. Garima was talking about, analyzing and understanding the needs. Especially here when we are talking about the learning needs could be identified and analyzed. And let the children know they are valued, their concerns are valued by the teacher. And if the teachers know about their concerns, it is easy for the teachers to design the learning experiences accordingly. When I'm saying about the personalized instruction for each child, it doesn't mean that the instruction has to be designed in solitude and based on only individual academic performance. Need not be. It could be, as Professor Garima was talking about, the small group activity. It could be a peer mediated, of course, with all the safety protocols, and such kind of pedagogical activities could be planned by the teachers. So when we design, as the teachers, when we design the activities, let us ensure that these are learning outcome based rather than any content. And it is competent, with more focus on the competencies with specific reference to the different subject areas. So here, while planning this and addressing the learning gap, the first thing probably the teacher can arrange a remedial instruction in that could be in short term, that could be the one of the strategies that could be followed. And along with the remedial instruction, probably providing different supplementary materials and monitoring the learning process becomes very significant here. We cannot expect the teacher to be a superhuman and doing everything 1, 2, 3, 4. Probably here comes the involvement of the community. Here comes the support of the parents, whoever is skilled and educated and could help the children. So continuous monitoring of their progress even though the progress is slow, let it be a gradual progress. So that with the help of the community involvement, if the teacher can monitor the process, the learning progress of the children, then that would be wonderful. Then here, providing the supplementary learning material, when I say, with specific reference to children with special needs, they are the group challenged in multiple ways. So probably very personalized supplementary learning materials are required to bring them back to the system to address the learning gap. Here, designing interesting learning activities with the resources. When I say resources, maybe there are certain questions that in our school the learning resources are limited. Let it be. With the limited resources, then if you can plan very creative pedagogical strategy, that could be wonderful. The limitation of the resource, let it not be a constraint anymore in the way forward. So probably here we can think of simplifying the curriculum, but of course, even in the process, we cannot deny or ignore the learning needs of at least a small group of learners who are accelerator learners. Probably they need extra support to become the more self-learners and self-regulated learners, wherein we can make the students who are the so-called gifted, or instead of categorizing them, the people who need better resources and for their improvement, let us provide that too. Let us not ignore them as well. So here, addressing learning gap is a matter of urgency, and at the same time, bringing the education in general, bringing back to the so-called normal would be of our priority. So let us have a very coherent plan and a sustained effort to bridge the learning gap of children in it could be in from the primary level to the higher secondary level as well. So the approaches could be the strengthening the student well-being, and then giving enhanced positive learning climate for learning with the support of the community. Let that be our focus too here, to establish a highly student-centric ecosystem wherein children learn together without any fear. As Professor Gaurima was talking about the fear factor, let there be fear of the corona, but let the fear doesn't dismiss the whole purpose of it. Let them come back to the school. We all are here to help them out. Yes, Tanvi.
Absolutely, ma'am. I completely agree with you that let students go back to school and live their normal life as they used to before this pandemic. Mr. Devta, could you please suggest some specific plans in assisting the students in using their digital devices judiciously, and also some tips on the precautionary measures for the parents so that they can use on their children at home?
Okay, brilliant question, Tanvi. Thank you. You might have observed over here, it is same for all innovations, I can say, all gadgets, I can say. All these gadgets, including digital device, as long as you know how to use them, it's good. They are good slaves, but bad masters. In these days, most of the children, they have learned many other things more than what is taught to them in online classes. My co-panelists have already put thrust on different aspects of things that they were not supposed to have learned, be it over use of the device for non-productive purposes, non-academic use. So now, as children are expected to come back to school, naturally they need to be taught what are the different demerits associated with that. And even if some of them were able to get on digital device or online facility, A.K. Mr. Sir has already pointed out about the diverse field, how there is a gap. Some are having all facilities, some are not having. So school is the best place to tell them about all the do's and don'ts while using digital devices. When children are expected to come to school at home, they should plan, or parents should be informed that there should be a specific time period, let's say half an hour. Once they are coming to school, they will not be allowed the full freedom that they were getting. The fear of corona was the point of discussion. COVID in Hindi or Sanskrit. Sanskrit, COVID means Upida, Bisharat. COVID has really made different types of experts. And as far as online classes are concerned, digital devices are concerned, children have also mastered different tricks how to misuse them. So, through workshops, through seminars, maybe virtual, and when they come to school, maybe directly, the IT department of the school need to have special session on cyber addiction. How overusing of mouse, let us say, or using fingertips for a longer period. How even there are some issues like metacarpal syndrome. How many of them might suffer from insomnia, sleep disorder, attention span will definitely break. So on these issues, very judiciously how they can use digital device, if we will discuss on these issues, then maybe they will learn what they are supposed to learn there while using the digital device at home. Many of us we have observed during the online classes, children, they browse some other sites. They may be digitally present, but in reality they are not present. Professor Gariman has already thrown line on that. How, by some means, by being very optimistic, we are expected to bring children back to school. And while doing so, simultaneously back at home, in case they are having digital devices, what are the things that they are supposed to use? Let's say there is an exhibition. There is some, for collaborative learning, physical distance we need to maintain. We may not be allowed to engage them physically here. Suppose they have got a small group. By using their digital device, if different portions of a particular group project, they need to talk, they need to interact. Even they're at home, using the digital device, they may be encouraged to interact with each other and bring collaborative project. They may be engaged in such activities too. By using Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, Zoom, there are different platforms available where group discussion can also take place. In small groups, in the evening, beyond the school hour also, as more or less, whether we wish or not, almost all teachers have become kind of tech savvy, and children, in spite of their financial status, some are forced to, and some have already got digital device earlier, but they were not allowed to use. Earlier, bringing cell phone or using cell phone was a crime. But now the entire school is running through smartphones or digital devices. So all of a sudden, we cannot ask them to keep themselves away from all these things. It will take time. So it is our duty, all teachers, principals, they need to have interaction with the parents. Parents need to keep an eye on what kind of sites the child is visiting, what are the different impact associated with the wrong use of digital devices. They need to be discussed through different meetings, and then we can tell them how using software like Turnitin, they can improvise the quality of presentation, quality of work. By using software like Grammarly, they can change the structure, sentence structure, how they can improvise. So there are some sites, academic sites, how they are supposed to visit, and they can explore better possibilities. Unless and if we guide them, definitely they will be diverted to some other kind of things what they are not supposed to visit. In this way, by taking the help of the IT personnel, we can guide them so that they don't become wayward and suffer from this necessary devil. Digital device is no doubt a need of the hour, but it is not difficult to believe that it is a necessary evil, and we all must save our children if we want them to smile. We must tell our children, we must train our children how to use the digital devices very judiciously. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Let's talk about some strategies here because so many strategies are required which can help to address the concerns being raised here. So, Dr. Jabin, would you like to inform our viewers about certain strategies of counseling that are going to be useful to address the concerns?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Tanvi. One has to maintain a healthy lifestyle, follow a proper diet, get enough sleep and exercise. These are very important because when the person has gone to the virtual classroom, it seems that they have disturbed sleep and the proper diet is not taken, overeating disorders have developed, lots of stresses have developed. So to keep them connected, they have to be engaged with their loved ones, make time for activities that they enjoy, talk to people you trust, including your friends and family, and if you can, talk to them every day. So this has to be done because when the child back to school, they need support to revive themselves. Yet they have to give them the facts about COVID-19, gather information that will help them take reasonable precautions, find a credible source of information and trust, such as a local or state public health agencies, WHO, UNO agencies. Now, draw some skills that can be successfully used in the past to manage life adversities and use them to help manage this challenging time. Now, as Gorma ma'am has said, indigenous therapy, talked about the indigenous therapies. This is the need of the hour because all these indigenous therapies has been discussed by one of the very renowned Dr. Manju Mehra, former president, Indian Association of Clinical Psychology and Clinical Psychologists at AIMS. She has said that all these forms have a specific uses, like Reiki is for overall healing, while acupressure is for specific ailments. Healing like music therapy, art therapy helps in ventilation. So these type like acupuncture, a technique which practitioners stimulate specific points on the body. This is the acupressure, ancient healing and using the fingers of gradually pressing points which stimulate the bodies naturally. Crystal healing, different crystals have different energies and properties. This can affect mental, physical, spiritual and emotional aspects. Aromatherapy, so very useful, which can be practiced, that uses natural oils, Reiki. It is a Japanese technique, but it is very good for stress reductions, relaxation, and promotes healing. Music therapy, art therapy, these all are you can use the yoga therapy, which Gaurav ma'am had discussed about the yoga therapy. These are said to be the indigenous therapies, which are have been found very useful overcoming the outbreaks. So these are can be used of therapy. And have the space to become coming back to
school. So with acts management, stress management should be given, balance in body, spirit, and emotion. Resources should be provided. Learning habits, which in this period has deteriorated. The learning disabilities have developed, like reading skills are hampered, writing skills are hampered. So these skills have to be brought to normal so that they can get back to their classrooms and can write properly, read properly, understand properly, because the virtual classroom has just made them slaves of the gadgets. So this has to be done gradually. They are, as they were asked not to be on the gadgets, and now in this pandemic they have gone on to those gadgets. So gradually they have to come to the normal where the gadgets are not going to be used. So this is very, very important. How to come back? Something else with no expectations, go forward as it was earlier pre-pandemic. So this pandemic has changed a lot and changed the mind of the youth, especially the students who are in a very tender age, the genius who know the how to take out something good from that, and few of the population group, they are still, they find themselves there because these gadgets have given lots. So going back to school will help them, make them normal very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay,
Yes,
Mr. Mishra, sir, can you answer my question here? How can a school provide support to teachers to engage the students in effective learning?
Well, Tanvi, this is $1 million question. Because now the schools are reopening, and teachers need to be supported. There's no doubt. Teachers need to be supported because situations are different now, with all the kind of complexities that we have been discussing for last about an hour, and posing a lot of challenges with us. I'll take this question slightly indirectly.
Okay.
You see, pre-COVID times, when we used to discuss about the school effectiveness program, there were so many verticals on which it was dependent, of which infrastructure and other technologies only occupied, of course it can be debated, 15 to 20% space. But now, after this pandemic time, till date, this 15 to 20% space is enlarged to 100% space. We need to bring the system in place for all the schools where the teachers are equipped with the knowledge, with the technology, and also the infrastructure in place. Because we do not know about the COVID, how long, in what form, and how intense it is going to remain with us. But one thing is for sure, that the challenge created by the COVID, I think this has turned out to be a great opportunity, and there has been a revolution in terms of evolution of the generations of teachers as well as the students to whom to teach these many things which they are using now. It could have taken 5 to 6 years of continuous hierarchical teaching in terms of bringing them to that kind of level. Now, this digital learning is a lifeline and it's going to stay. So we should not forget that this is something that every school has to equip itself fully and keep on updating the technology time to time. And teachers can only function if the technology is there in the place. So it's very much duty of the school to provide that support. A. Now B. Again, the management and the administration has to have a major shift in the paradigm in terms of thinking about the role, functions of the teachers. Because now teachers need a lot of time for making preparations. We cannot think in those terms because earlier there was a practice which still, I'm afraid, going to continue in most of the schools, that the teacher should be engaged in classroom talking and teaching for more than 66% of the working time. There the administration and the management will be faltering. We need to appreciate the kind of energy and the time that they require is much more higher than what it used to be. Then it's not 8 to 2 or 9 to 3 or 10 to 4 school. The teachers are on radar, functional 24/7. They are going to continue being functional 24/7 with or without opening of the school, because that's how everybody has thought the teacher has to be. We need to support them. C. We also have to support the teachers by appreciating them as humans, by appreciating that they too have emotions, they too have mental disturbances, they are also going through the distress. So schools very consciously, without fail, need to arrange several activities for their mental health, their emotional health, and for the health of their social well-being, where the close-knit network is maintained. Unless we do that, we will not be able to have a healthy school. I must mention an ecosystem has to be developed where teachers are treated like teachers. I'm speaking a simple sentence that means very, very emphatically. Teachers are there for teaching in the schools, for planning of teaching, their pedagogy, making innovations, involving students, taking up a lot of projects and activities. Therefore, let's not treat them like employees. No, for God's sake not. We need to support being them assuming and remembering all the time they are not employees or workers, they are teachers. They are the lifeline of the school. And the lifeline of the school has to be taken care of very, very well. So if these things we take care, by and large, we'll be able to support the teachers, and they need to have that confidence in the school system. They need to have confidence. We need to rope up all the parents and ask them that it's not only the school that has to support, you too have to support. You have to support by supporting your own wards, so that the teachers are able to become successful in whatever they have planned. It cannot go. Now we have to remember that triangle of the child, parent, and the school system. So that triangle, all the words have to be very, very vibrant. If any one of the vertices misses, this will be a discontinuous function that will not yield to anything. Over to you, Tanvi.
Truly said, sir, that teachers actually are the lifeline of the school. We have received some questions from our audience's side, so I would like to ask one of them. We don't have much time left, so I would request you to just make the answer brief, and any one of you can answer this question. Mr. Santosh, he is asking, it is observed that some parents are unwilling to send their children back to school in spite of all the facilities provided by the school campus. So what can be done to motivate them or to convince them?
I am taking it.
Sure, sir.
Okay. See, the fear has stayed there for around 17, 18 months. It's very natural. And it's too early to be judgmental about how the parents think. It's very, very obvious. Maybe some parents have come over the inertia of being in the fear. Especially those parents who are quite well off, they will remain under the inertia because they were not forced to go out in the society for their bread and butter, because life comes only after the bread and butter. Now we have to understand and explain we have to understand life is very important, but life without life is worthless. And the life in the life comes through education. Life through life comes through the schooling of the child. Schooling does not mean the contents. Schooling means the life. Schooling means social networking of the children, taking care of their emotional needs. To gradually do it, we have to persuade them. Understand that the schools or the government will not take any decision which is not good for the safety of the children. The government is also concerned, very, very concerned. So we need to continuously keep on counseling them and then just hold on. A month after the reopening of school, most of the parents, Santosh ji, they'll fall in place because they will see that now it's doable. It's doable. So, conclude this, we have to remember life is not about staying back. किसी ने ठीक ही बोला है कि इस पथ का उद्देश्य नहीं है भवन में टिक रहना, इस पथ का उद्देश्य नहीं है शांत भवन में टिक रहना, बल्कि जाना उस सीमा तक जिसके आगे राह नहीं। संतोष जी, बच्चों को लेके हमको उस सीमा के आगे जाना है।
Very well said, sir. Thank you so much to all the panel members for this fruitful discussion, and we have to wrap up this session right now. So I would like to thank all of you once again for taking out time for this platform and giving out your opinion and all this information you passed on to our viewers. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to all the participants, to all of you who are watching this program and who raised the questions. I hope you're satisfied with the answers our experts have provided. We'll come back next Friday once again, same time, same platform. Till then, please stay healthy, stay safe, and stay happy, of course. And most importantly, get yourself vaccinated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Manodarpan.
Thank you, Tanvi, and thanks